Airplane Mode Jones. That is his nickname, a former slam dunk champion. Here's A.J. Lawson. Lawson a deep three. And it's way off target. Ntilikina trying to save it in. McKinley right in the corner. Off the top of the backboard. And the game is over. That loss eliminates Dallas from play-in tournament contention, which certainly seemed like it was already trending in that direction, given the events of this most unusual day. This most unusual game comes to a conclusion. 115-112 is the final score. Chicago's 39th win of the year, and Dallas falls to 38-43.
We welcome in NBA reporter Tim MacMahon. Tim, I kind of want to take on the role of the Mavericks fan, maybe the season ticket holder who's hung in there for 80 games this year. How does the organization come to this decision to essentially say, we're not going for it?
Ultimately, this was Mark Cuban's call, and I would love to be able to explain to you what exactly changed from Wednesday night until this morning when they made the call to pull the plug. But Mark Cuban did not reply to my attempts to get his explanation. Now, I can tell you that the general logic is very simple. They had no control over their own destiny in terms of making the play-in. They had no confidence that they could do any kind of damage if they got into the play-in, much less somehow stumbled into the playoffs. The one thing they have some control over are their lottery odds. They were tied for the Bulls for the 10th best lottery odds entering tonight. They broke that tie. They are alone in the number 10 spot. That's important. The Mavericks owe the New York Knicks a top 10 protected pick as the final piece to the, Kristaps Porzingis trade. And if they don't keep that pick, that is a massive blow to the long-term hopes of trying to build a contender around Luka Doncic and we'll see, hopefully, Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, who was the big addition to this team. And when Kyrie and Luka were on the floor together, the record was 5-11 this year. Jason Kidd, of course, was asked about the possibility of the team keeping Kyrie beyond this season.
If I was a betting man, I guess I would say he would be back. Why would I say he wouldn't? So confident, is that's too strong? I think Cuban made that clear. He's the number one priority to have him come back. So I would second that.
Tim, how do you see Dallas handling things as it relates to keeping Kyrie Irving in a Mavericks uniform?
Well, Mark Cuban certainly the other night did make it clear that Kyrie Irving will be the Mavs' top priority this summer. What does that mean? I don't know. Jalen Brunson was their top priority going into last summer. I asked Cuban straight up, you've got Kyrie's bird rights. You can give him a longer contract than anybody else. You can give him a larger contract than anybody else. Will the Mavericks be outbid for Kyrie? Cuban was non-committal. He said, I guess there's always too high of a price to pay, depending. Mentioned the new CBA, some of the restrictions on roster building. That would be a very difficult way to go into contract negotiations with Kyrie Irving, who, let's be honest, he felt disrespected by the way Brooklyn approached contract negotiations or extension negotiations. We saw how that turned out. Plan B would be to try to use those bird rights in a sign and trade deal to get another star caliber player in return. That's very difficult because it requires his cooperation, another team's cooperation. Let's just be blunt. If the Mavericks aren't able to re-sign Kyrie Irving, that is another massive blow to the long-term goal of trying to build a contender around Luka before it's too late.
A team that had a fabulous run a season ago when they go out and get Kyrie Irving, and there's a whole lot of hopes, and then a bizarre ending to things here.
Welcome inside SportsCenter with Kevin Connors. I'm Zubin Mehenti. You know, all the interesting possibilities floating around the NBA as we enter the final weekend of the regular season, there may be none more notable than this, Kev. The Mavericks on the verge of going from last year's Western Conference Finals to this year's lottery.
It's been a remarkably disappointing season in Dallas, and not even the addition of Kyrie Irving could change things. But here they were, still in the playoff conversation with just 3 days remaining in the regular season, on the outside looking in. But again, one of 7 teams in the West play-in picture, separated by 4 games or fewer. So everything to play for the Mavs, but it was announced earlier in the day on Friday, Kyrie would not go tonight And then later in the afternoon, Dallas said Luka would sit following the opening quarter. Here's Jason Kidd pregame on the decisions.
How does it change from Wednesday beating Sacramento and the owner basically saying you were trying to make the playoffs to this?
Yeah, that's you're gonna have to ask the organization. You gotta ask Nico that question. I'm just one here. I'm the messenger here telling you what we're doing, and so understanding Nico and Cuban, the organization has made that decision.
You involved at all in the discussion?
No.
Do you agree with the decision?
Yes, those are my bosses, so yes.
All right, so politically handled at the end, but I mean, throwing a lot of people under the bus at the beginning of that, and deservedly so, right? They're right there. This is Luka early because there was no late. Here he is at the free throw line and one. Three-point play good after the free throw. Next possession. No-look lob to JaVale McGee. You're seeing a lot of Luka early again because he only played early. 13 minutes, 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and then the decision to take him out and not play him the rest of the way, and they could have used him down the stretch. Bulls up 1. Kobe White. Terry Taylor put Chicago in front by 3. Closing seconds where I wonder who might take this shot. Instead, it's A.J. Lawson. Mavs get the rebound. McKinley Wright, former Colorado Buffalo, no. And the Bulls win it 115-112. And the Mavericks are officially eliminated from playoff consideration. We welcome in NBA reporter Tim